Hi everyone. In this video, I want to talk about Neville Goddard's revision technique, what it is, why it's so powerful, how to practice it, and a few troubleshooting tips based on my own lived experience. So revision has genuinely been one of the most impactful tools in my healing and manifestation journey, especially as someone who experienced a significant amount of trauma early in life. So I want to share this in a grounded, realistic way as a practice that can create real internal change over time. So what is revision? Revision is the practice of mentally reimagining a past experience that felt painful, upsetting, or unwanted, and allowing it to unfold differently in your imagination. Instead of replaying what actually happened, you imagine how you would have preferred the situation to go, and you allow yourself to experience that new version internally, emotionally, and somatically. Neville Goddard spoke about revision extensively, especially in his lecture, The Pruning Shears of Revision. He essentially said that if you take nothing else from his work, take revision, because changing how the past lives in you changes what you create going forward. According to the law of assumption, what we consistently assume to be true shapes our reality, and many of our assumptions are formed through past experiences. For example, someone who experienced abandonment or neglect while growing up may unconsciously expect abandonment in adult relationships, even when there's no evidence that this is happening, because the body and subconscious are responding to the past and not the present moment. When you revise an experience, you're not erasing the past. You're changing how it's stored in your nervous system and your subconscious mind. And that shift alters how you respond now and what you're available to experience in the future. I've shared before that I experienced extensive trauma throughout childhood and adolescence, and I explored many healing modalities over the years. And while they helped in different ways, I noticed something that was consistent, and that is I would replay painful memories in my mind throughout the day, and this happened almost automatically. It had become so habitual, and it was draining a lot of my energy. And when I began practicing revision, these mental replays significantly decreased, and in many cases actually stopped altogether. Revising the memories to reflect how I would have wanted those situations to go allowed my nervous system to settle, and it freed up mental and emotional energy. It gave me more peace of mind, and it created more internal space for creativity, being present, and manifestation. I've practiced revision both on my own and within somatic mindful guided imagery sessions. Feel free to check out my website to read more about this. The subconscious mind is most receptive when you're relaxed, so if you want to try revision, I recommend starting in a calm or meditative state. Beforehand, it can be helpful to make a list of the events that you want to revise. So for each event, recall how you felt during the original experience, identify how you would have wanted to feel instead, and then construct a short imaginal scene that evokes that desired feeling. If imagining something new feels difficult, you can use what's sometimes called a copy and paste method. So you recall a memory where you naturally felt the emotion that you want, be it safety, relief, confidence, peace, and immerse yourself in that memory until you feel it in your body, and then just reinsert the revised scene. Loop the new scene at least 3 times or until it begins to feel real, familiar, or emotionally settled. Once it does, and once it takes on the tones of reality, you're finished. You can let it go. So some important revision tips. The revised scene has to be something that your subconscious can accept. For example, my subconscious would not accept revised memories where people who were really abusive suddenly became kind or nurturing. That just did not feel believable to me. Instead, I revised these situations by imagining entirely different circumstances, like growing up in a different environment where these people weren't present at all. And that felt safer and more acceptable internally. Revision works best when it feels plausible to your nervous system. One thing I do want to mention is that I wouldn't recommend revision if painful memories are surfacing for the first time. If you're newly accessing traumatic material, it's not always appropriate to jump straight into revision. And through somatic mindful guided imagery, which I do offer, we can gently and safely work with these memories in a way that supports the nervous system before any rescripting work is introduced. If a revised memory doesn't seem to stick, there's a few things that might be happening. The scene may not feel believable to your subconscious yet. You might need to repeat or reinforce it more times. You might need to gently reintroduce the revised scene when old memories resurface. So when old memories resurface, you might need to recondition the new memory, the revised memory. One common misconception about revision is that we're trying to convince ourselves that something did or didn't happen when it really did. And this isn't about trying to convince yourself that something didn't happen. Instead, you're using imagination to experience what would have felt supportive, safe, or resolving, and allowing that experience to be registered by your subconscious and body. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a lived one. So rather than thinking this didn't happen and trying to convince yourself of that, try approaching revision with the mindset of, wouldn't it have been nice if this had happened instead? And allow yourself to experience that. So if this resonates and you're curious about how past experiences, subconscious patterns, and energetic makeup are influencing what you're manifesting now, this is something that I explore in my evolutionary manifesting readings. These readings help identify why certain patterns persist, and they offer a clear, personalized roadmap for working with your subconscious and energy in a way that actually supports change. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.